Oh, okay, lovely. Welcome, everyone. Let's begin. I would just invite everyone just to lie down and make yourself comfortable. We'll just begin in a shavasana of your choosing. Support yourself in any way. I'm still going to make my opening announcements, but I'd like to sort of get started on something. I'll just go through the announcements because there's people that first time to this class and may not be familiar with this practice. So I just want to do a quick check-in, but let's do it from a more relaxed place. And let me simply bring your attention to your breathing. And in a way to just allow it to slow down. And so there's two ways that we can approach this slowing down of the breath. One is just to consciously begin to lengthen it. So allow the inhale to be slower, but deeper and longer. So you're not forcing it, but you're consciously doing that. And the same thing on the exhalation. Let it be a little deeper and a little bit longer. So what will happen when you begin to consciously slow down your breathing, then at some point you'll kind of drift out of that consciously doing it, and your body will just relax naturally from the slowing down of the breath. And then once the body starts to relax from the conscious slowing down of the breath will just slow in response to your body relaxing. So just begin on your own, whatever feels comfortable, to slow down the breathing, feel it, let go of the inhalation, feel it, and just slow it down. Notice the body will start to respond to that, and then the natural response of the body relaxing will just slow down your breathing. So I've been making sure that I remind everyone, whether you're new to this practice or have been doing it for a while, just to be safe, to take care of yourself. And one of the ways, very specifically, you can do this is if you feel like it's being held too long, yeah? So the holes obviously are rather generic because I can't see everyone. I can't get a feeling for coming out when. So, the way that we use pain in this practice, first and foremost, we're listening to the pain. Yes, we want to feel the body responding and the body contracting, but also how are we in relationship to the pain? This is a very important part of our study and our yoga. So if you feel at some point that it's not safe, or you've had enough, or the body is good and you intuitively know to come out, always honor that. Yes, you can always take a rest and come back in, or just give your body the respect that it needs. So always be safe. And then if something doesn't feel right or you're unsure, we can always check in at a later date. I see that more people are getting props. Some are getting on their own. I've mailed some to people. So lovely for that. The more we have the traditional props, the easier it makes this practice. So the props also work very well using blankets and towels and pillows. So if at any point you're not sure you have enough support, just grab another blanket or pillow or anything that you can use. So the improvising is very good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the feedback. The feedback has been really very, very helpful to me. I'm learning so much from it, and I do appreciate it. Sometimes questions, sometimes just something is working or not working, and this is really how I'm helping to evolve this and learn how to hold space, this way online. So the feedback is very much appreciated, and even though not expected or required, the donations are very appreciated because it's allowing me the freedom to supply people with bolsters. if your computer is not plugged in, you may want to plug it in. The end of class, although the last couple of classes I've been ending at the assigned time for the 2-hour class, I may vary that a little bit because we have the time, and you can, leave any time that you would like. I'm also leaving after class. I'll let everyone unmute themselves and we can have questions and answers or check in or whatever seems appropriate. And the final thing, which I did have some questions about, especially if you're not familiar with the way that I present this, is the silent pauses in between, not only the poses, but in between me talking are intentional. Yeah. I had the opportunity, Louis sent me a YouTube of Sunday's class, and I just did the class. And I just felt like I was just chattering away too much, that there weren't enough long spaces. So it's always it's a personal thing. Sometimes your body will resonate with something that is said, and you can reference it later, or it'll open up a contemplation. Other times you're just very, very invited to be in your own world. And what I say is just sort of like the wind passing over and through you. So just continue to allow the breath to slow down. This is the only invitation to open to just a nice, slow, calm breath. And now the meditation of yoga. So I'd like to just begin. You can stay right where you are. Just continue to feel the flow and the relaxation of the breath. Allow yourself to be absorbed into the breath. And I would just like to open with a short reading from Donald Hoffman. He has a new book out called The Case Against Reality. And what's particularly interesting about this inquiry of Donald Hoffman is he's tackling the question of consciousness, which is fundamental to yoga, fundamental to our physical and emotional and psychological study of yoga. And the question of consciousness in kind of our Western way of thinking has always been, well, we have this physical brain, we have this matter. How does consciousness arise from that? No one's ever been able to figure that out, still cannot. So what Donald is doing is reversing that and saying, let's say that consciousness is the fundamental property of reality, and then how does matter come from that? Yeah. So what he's basically doing, what's interesting, I said this the other day, that he's basically attempting to come up with a mathematical formula for the Upanishads. So this wisdom that he's discussing and exploring was written thousands of years ago in one of our most basic yoga texts. But I thought this was interesting, so I'm just going to begin with this reading. When you look at yourself in a mirror, you see skin, hair, eyes, lips, and the expression of your face. But you know that hidden behind your face is a far richer world. Your dreams, fears, politics, love of music, taste in literature, love of family, and experiences of colors, smells, sounds, tastes, and touches. The face you see is just an interface. Behind it is the vibrant world of your experiences, choices, and actions. So this begins our inquiry of yoga, the interface between the images that we see in the mirror and the reality or the truth of what's below the surface, and how we navigate that and how we experience that and how honest we're willing to be about the truth of that. So each and every one of these yoga asanas is meant for us to hold space for ourselves to explore this very question, letting go of not only the interface of the image we see in the mirror, but the whole external world that is continually stimulating, triggering us, creating an emotional whirlwind, places of insecurity and doubt and disarray. So the yoga asana is meant to slip below the chatter and the foreground and the busyness of the mind, the busyness of all this imagery, the stimulation of all the interfaces, and move deeper into the truth of what your moment to moment and actual experience is. So let's come on up, please. And we're going to come into the hips a bit, the IT band. And I'd like to show two variations on this position and some bolstering for it as well. And again, if you have the bolsters, you can use either one of these bolsters. These are the bolsters I'm talking about, the large round and the salamander. Or you can use a variation of blankets and pillows. So two things that I'll suggest depending on how you're feeling. So the first thing, if we brought the soles of the feet together, let's leave the right leg forward and take the left leg and just scoop it in back, and then keep the right leg bent at about a 90-degree angle to the body. For those of you that know this yin position, it's called sleeping swan. So the front leg is in an angle to the body. So right now my right knee would be kind of even with my right shoulder. My right foot would be more even with my left thigh. The thing to notice in this position is to not straighten the leg out, not to force the leg and force that left hip down, yeah? So you want to just allow this left hip to relax. So I need to bend my knee to do that. And then we're going to be invited to just relax over that right leg, yeah? So I'm doing it with no bolstering. The two ways you could use the bolstering is, one, you could bring something under the right buttocks, yeah? So this will like alleviate a lot there. And you could also lean on something coming forward so you don't have to come all the way down. And at some point you may decide to come all the way down. Yes, that would be lovely as well. So that's the first variation for people. If you want something basically addressing the same area, a little more of a sort of a restorative quality, is to lie on your back, yeah, and take the, let's see, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I can do it this way. Take the left foot and bring it up so the left leg, the calf muscle, is parallel to the floor. You could even put, since you're home, you could put that left foot up against the wall. That works well. It makes it more restorative. And then we're going to take the right foot and put that right foot under the left knee. Yeah, so it looks like we're going into this position they call eye of the needle. As some of you might know that. So a couple of things here. You could do eye of the needle and bring the hands around in back of that left thigh and just apply some gentle pressure. But something that I enjoy doing with this one, I'm going to have to scoop this way, yeah, wow, is you could also take that right foot and put it in the crook of the left arm and then hold the hands together and just pull it in. You can see what I'm doing here. God, I feel like I'm doing gymnastics here or something. So yeah, I put the foot in the arm. Yeah, so sort of pull it like that. So this is just an option. If you're not folding over the leg, you could put that left foot against the wall, that one. You could just leave it in the air. You could scoop around the back of the left thigh, interlock the fingers. You could just leave it alone, or you could hold that right foot up onto your forearm or your elbow here and just kind of pull it in. And not to put, any emphasis on the angles or the alignment or am I doing it right? As long as you're following a suggestion of the shape and you're feeling some sensation, that's where our exploration begins. So no concerns or worries about, what does it look like? Where should I feel it? If you're feeling it, then you're doing it. And so just allow that to guide you. Try to relax any sense of effort. Try to relax any sense of moving in deeper. But once you're there, just relax. Just allow your body to become still. If you would like to consciously slow the breathing down, you can follow that rhythm. But like I said earlier, the shape of the body, the asana, is just a place for you to explore the moment to moment experience. And if you're feeling something painful, this practice is not meant to be comfortable, but hold that awareness that it's not just the pain itself. The opportunity is to explore your relationship to the pain. So the pain is information. Yes, it's trying to tell you something. It's trying to get your attention, but pain is also a trigger. So there will be a sort of a neural vibration from the pain into certainly your feelings and your emotions, and certainly into your psyche. So this is all very fruitful to explore. Our only real guideline when exploring this dimension is certainly to feel safe, certainly to stay as far away from injury as possible. And this is why I suggest, really to trust yourself, to trust this sort of inner voice, this deeper intuition of like, okay, I've had enough. I've got the feedback, the information. It's time to let my body know that I'm being conscious and respectful. And just continue to notice that the more you do relax, the more the breathing is able to slow down. The more the breathing slows down, the more you're able to relax. So never are we, setting up the body and allowing the mind to understand the dynamics of the yoga, and then adding on the breath, having the breath as some sort of accessory or add-on. No, no. What we're always doing is feeling this this unification, that the breath and the physicality, our emotions, our psyche, are in no way separate. This is the unification of yoga. Yoga is what we're open to exploring. So often we have to really slow the breathing down. We have to let it be calm and relaxed, and then we feel it as a very different presence than when it's just mechanically caught up in the top of the chest. And if you're able to, and you can just experiment with this and explore this, this is a sort of another thread of our exploration with our breathing. If you can close the mouth and breathe in and out through the nose. I understand sometimes it's not possible, but this is part of like I said, a thread study of the right nostril activating, stimulating left hemisphere of the brain, the left nostril activating and stimulating right hemisphere of the brain. Good. So let's begin to, if you are in the eye of the needle variation, you can just let go, come out of it, and sit up. If you're folded over that right leg, like I suggested, just come on up from that. So just come on up till you feel the lower back begin to compress a bit. And then let's take that back leg, the left leg, and bring it around front. Yeah. And let's extend both legs out. We're going to keep going for a bit longer, but we'll just let the legs relax for a moment. And then we'll keep the right leg out. So the right leg's just going to be about hip width distance, but very relaxed. So don't tighten it up. Don't contract the quadricep or activate the foot. Let the right be very relaxed. And then just take the left foot and put it somewhere along the inside of this right leg. It doesn't have to be pulled really tight. Let it be relaxed on this left side. And then as we come forward, do try to relax the lumbar area. Yeah. Try not to, a lot of people's forward bends in an active practice is a stretching. We don't want that. We want a relaxing. So as much as you can relax the abdominal area, the lumbar area, and then if you feel it's too much weight, bring your trusty props in to relax on. So as much as you need, so you find that place of contraction that's just right for you. Try to let the head relax down, let the shoulders relax down, and just sink into it. Just sink into this this mysterious place beyond the interface. And just so you know, especially if some of you are new to my class, when I took my own class yesterday, uh, I didn't really understand much of what I was saying either. Really, I was like, "What did I just say? What does that mean?" So you're in good company. And then really that's a beautiful thing, because this practice is not about instruction. It's not about more information. It's very simply really trusting that your own wisdom is vibrating and alive and healthy in every one of your cells. And so our inquiry is to awaken that wisdom within ourselves. And this is why that we de-emphasize the alignment and the structure of the body. That's really unique to you. Um, really, our primary focus is tuning in to our feelings and our emotions. This is what in yoga we call a felt sense. And we start to explore, and this is such a beautiful exploration, that as we're able to release physical tension, we're also uh, releasing unexpressed emotions and obsolete belief systems. We're just releasing the energetic holding of the body. It's never just simply physical. So, from the perspective of this yin quality, or this yin energy, what then really blocks our healing is a compulsive need to figure everything out, shutting down the healing process by just continually going to the intellect and the left brain. So the practice of patience and receptivity and relaxation allows the intuitive awareness to awaken. So we're then in the realm of emotions and sensations, and allowing our thinking and our mind to expand, and feeling this and experiencing this as part of the healing process. Good. So let us come on up from here. And we can straighten out that left leg, and let's just lie down flat on your back and relax. And that's just one option. But I do recommend in between our poses to really come into relaxation. I noticed people that weren't so familiar were have been sitting up sometimes and waiting for the next pose. If that's completely relaxing for you, that's fine. But we're working on a fascial system that is very, very tight. It has a lot of pressure that it applies. So once we tighten, we want to release, and we want to give the body the openness of the joints. So either flat on your back, sometimes rolling on your side, or maybe a child's pose, but know that this is your time to let the posture be received, kind of feel that felt sense, relax, and prepare for the next pose. And let me just say that again, only because it's been so much a part of my path and my practice. This idea that what blocks our healing is a compulsive need to figure everything out. And it's tricky. It's not often a linear path, because we need to have a way, and we need to have a practice that we can lean into things. It's never either or when we're working with these vibrations and energies of the body that have been imprinted since we were young children. So we need to find a way to be very, very patient with the system, patient with the energy. And oftentimes this energy of fixing things, this energy of just needing to figure things out, it can be so dominant. So it's a very personal, individual journey this way, how to kind of let go of some of that, just those habits, some of that pressure we hold to have to figure it out and get it right and take the next step and cause and effect, and just relax into the intuitive wisdom of really life itself. I've come to more and more really embrace that existence itself will take care of everything, that life is the root teacher. So you can just please stay flat on your back, and you could probably listen. I'm going to just demonstrate. If you need to look up, that's fine. What I'm going to suggest here is to put the feet flat on the floor and take the left leg and bring it up and over, so you're squeezing at the thighs pretty much, yeah? So the left leg is over the right, almost as if you were just sitting and crossing your legs. So then we have the left leg on top. So I'm going to suggest here to keep the right shoulder relaxed down on the floor. Don't let it roll over to the left. And then let the left, well, both legs, but the left is on top, but let both legs go over to the left. What I'm also doing is, if I don't move my right foot, then my hips get locked up in a position where I know I can open them more. So I just walk that right foot to the right a little bit. This gives me a lot more leeway. Keeping the right shoulder down, the left leg on top, weighting down into this twist, and then adjust that right foot wherever it needs to go to open up your hips and just relax. I think another thing that can motivate us to cultivate this slower breathing is just to know that every single cell in your body is fueled by oxygen, is kept healthy and responsive by oxygen. So sometimes we forget that and we believe we're just breathing mechanically, we're just maintaining the system, but there's such a complexity of metabolic functions when we breathe. So to slow that breath down and to just really feel the presence of the breath entering all of these cells, it's just so beautiful. Also, when we do move away from the mechanical breathing and we really do slow it down, we get to discover that each breath is unique. It is not a mechanical process. It's a mysterious, wondrous process. So if you can slow down, deepen, and just feel it and stay with it, the fullness of the inhale and the beautiful release of the exhale, within each cycle, there's a whole universe to explore. It's really quite amazing. And it's amazing how then this merging of physical and respiration and feelings all have a lovely way of intermingling and then presenting whatever it is they're going to present for us to explore. Very lovely not to have a map when we really understand how to explore the territory. Good. So nice and slowly, you can start to let the legs come on up, and you can release that left leg that was crossed over the right leg. And let's just open the legs out and just straighten the spine before you just go directly to the other side. Let the hips relax. You may want to have a little sway in the hips, maybe allow your head to go side to side. And let us prepare to do the other side. So again, we'll begin by placing both feet on the floor. This time we'll take the right leg and put it up over the left. So just a nice squeeze at the thighs. We'll attempt to keep the left shoulder relatively grounded. Don't force it or hold it, but try not to let it initially roll up. And then we'll let both legs just slowly drift off to the right side. I didn't mention on the other side, but if it gets a little too much, you can always slip some bolstering under that right hip or the right knee. Make sure you have the option to walk that left foot wherever it's going to open the hips the most. So make any personal adjustments you need to make. And when we do begin to let go, or at least make, I don't mean let go in that it doesn't have its value and we're never going to use it again or we're going to judge it, but just when we start to bring balance into this need to always have to know better and to fix things. So when we start to bring some balance into that, when we start to bring the creativity of right brain, the the felt sense of the feminine, the wisdom of intuition, when we start to bring that into balance, this allows us to reconnect with really the power and tranquility of our own essence. So we're in a way, it really is about this level of balance. So this is why the yin practice is so removed from technique, because it's an intuitive journey, and sometimes this intuition is just around the edges, the periphery, and we don't want to or need to focus on anything directly. We want to let go from that and just feel. I was saying in Sunday's class, I was saying, wait, this is Sunday, right? This is Sunday. Well, the last class, I was offering this contemplation, and really more to myself. I've been kind of exploring this contemplation for a while, that whenever we suppress anything of our essence, whether it's a movement, it's a gesture, uh, an emotion, that what we're really doing is we're suppressing the life force itself. So how to be more fluid and spontaneous and allow this movement through the body. And this goes back to what I was saying about a balance between needing to fix things and just following this allowing or this receptivity of yin. So let's again move the legs back up. You can untangle the twist here, let the legs relax out, and we'll take a bit of a rest. And also just to start to, really intuit, this takes more of a creative visualization, that the slowing down of the breath is also a slowing down of the brain movement, the brain waves, the different stages of brain waves, and also the slowing down of the pulsation of the heart. Another name for slowing the breath is patience. So let's come on up, and we're going to do the other side of the sleeping swan and or modified eye of the needle. So maybe I'll show the eye of the needle first, because that's much more challenging for me with this screen and all of these angles. But if you're going to attempt that, let's see how this angle works. We're going to take the left foot and put it under that right knee, and then bring that right foot up so the calf muscle is parallel to the floor. Yeah. And then you could put this right foot up against the wall. This is just a lovely way to explore this right hip piriformis IT band area. Or you could then scoop under and hold on, interlock the fingers and hold onto that right thigh. So you could kind of play with that. You could bring it in, release it. Or what I was suggesting, just another option, is to take that left foot and put it in the forearm or the crick of into the elbow. And you could just kind of play with it there. And then you can interlock the fingers and just kind of pull it in. But that's it feels a little gymnastic like, but you can, release it as well. So you can pull it in tight, feel it, hold it, and play with it. So that's option. If you're not taking that option for the sleeping swan, then we're going to keep the left leg in front, take the right leg and scoop it back. But again, don't press that, be concerned about alignment and press this right hip down. Yeah, let it relax. Yeah, you can take the bolstering to put under the right buttocks, and the front leg is just, we use 90 degrees as an approximation for the template, but if you wanted to bring that in further, it takes a lot of pressure off the knee, which is nice. If you wanted to put it beyond 90 degrees, then it's going to stress the knee more. That's up to you, and parts of the hamstring as well. So let this angle be intuitive. Let the back leg be intuitive. If you need to lean on the big bolster or your pillows or blankets, and we'll just relax over it. Yep. Nice thing about no one can hear you when you're in your home. You can just moan and groan all you want, and just anything you can do anything you want. This is yin yoga, except for downward dogs. No downward dogs. Even those dogs I saw, no downward dogs for those dogs. I know it's good. It is a good thing that my stand-up comedy career has been so slow to get started. It's good I'm sticking with yin yoga, because pretty much these days I'm really only making myself laugh, which is a great, it's a great skill to have, to make yourself laugh. That's kind of once you can make yourself laugh, then that's one stage of development. Then the next stage is to start laughing at yourself. That's like advanced yoga. to reconnect with the power and tranquility and intelligence of your essence. And when you do come into this, this contemplation of the relationship between the, the pain that you're feeling just as a primary physical sensation, and then being able to lean away from it just a bit and see what your relationship to that is. Where we begin then, or what we start to explore then, is that pain, that sensation, whatever we're calling it, is evoking something. It's evoking maybe something physical that is warning you or informing you, maybe something emotional that is woven into the fabric of the sensation, maybe something in your psyche that we've been, holding as an obsolete belief system. But that's what we're interested in. We're not just interested in the points of contraction that we label as painful or injured or contracted and just wish they would go away. We're interested in the whole breadth of what the discomfort evokes, which is just very unique to you. It's changing all the time. It's part of this, inner complexity. This is the interface that Donald's talking about. That the points, the imagery evokes a deeper vibration, a deeper reverberation through the body. And the less we label it, the less we define it, the less we try to figure out what's going on, the more we can just kind of flow with it and really dance with it. And just trust that whatever it evokes is a feedback, is an intelligent feedback from the body. Another word for slowing the breathing is presence. So let us begin to release whichever of the variations you're in. So come out nice and slowly, though. Just feel this shift of energetic movement. We want to stay as close to this as possible. And then when you're released from the position, find a place to be comfortable, and we'll relax for a few moments. And I've been really thinking about and trying to share in some of the classes that the more collective changes and challenges that we're having also are embedded with pretty amazing opportunities and gifts. So when we sift everything, from the yoga, when we sift all the philosophy and the sutras and the scriptures and the postures, the simplest, directive, the simplest gift of our yoga is just to wake up. And I think at this time, that's so incredibly important. And what I've also been experimenting with and exploring in my own meditations and in sharing with you is not to make this complex. Yes, just to notice, I'm not sure where you live, but here in the Catskills, it is spring. And spring has a lovely subtleness to it. Just all of the weather, the quality of air, the clouds, the sunshine has such an incredible subtlety to it. So the waking up is not this complex, philosophical, psychological, mystical experience that is only for a select few. It's just simply waking up to the beauty and the presence of the way that your moment is unfolding. Whether or not there are challenges in that moment or not, the moment is unfolding. The life is changing before us. So the waking up is just how to appreciate that. Oh my God, I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm present. I'm getting feedback from this incredible environment. And I'm able to open mind and heart and body to allow the life force to move through me in a way that it can guide me and provide the intelligence and the feedback that I need. So this is what I mean by waking up and the importance of it. And this is something often we believe we do individually, but really it's a collective waking, because we start to see that, like I said earlier, this exploration that consciousness is the fundamental basis of reality, not just your consciousness or my consciousness. We share this consciousness, and we start to see this shared consciousness. We start to see that the boundary between other and self is rather flimsy. And this is the waking up that we get to explore. So we don't want to complicate it. We want to notice that the spring is here, that life is abound with intelligence and mystery, and that our physical body is an incredible tool for us to explore this, whether we understand it or not. We're not trying to fix it. We're not trying to figure everything out. We're trying to connect more deeply with our own experience, with our direct experience, with our own consciousness. So let's come on up. And as you're coming up, I just want to say a little bit about the first part of this, as I want to just work into the knees a little bit. And I know sometimes just the mention of working in the knees can evoke great fear in some of us. But just to tell you, when I first started this yin practice, I used it primarily to rehabilitate my knees. And what I'm showing you now, I couldn't do then. And it took great patience and consistency to really heal my knees. So I'm just going to show you some ways to support this and release if you need to. But if we don't address the knees at all, unless of course you have severe knee replacements or injuries that you really don't want to attempt this, but not to address it will keep the tension in place. The way that this particular joint, the synovial joint, is ligamented, and the strands of fascia, like I said, the tensile strength of this, the pressure, it's only going to tighten. And then stiff knees block that flow of the prana and the life force through our body that we want. So I'll just start basic, and then we're going to turn this into something else. But if you have the accessibility to just sit between the heels, yeah? So this would be the first layer of this. Then if you're easing into this, and this becomes, at some point it feels unsafe, the way we come out of this is just come forward a bit, yeah? So the more you come forward, it's just releasing the tension in the knees, yeah? Second thing to do would be to use some, obviously the large bolster works well for this, but you could sit on, I have a blanket and a pillow here. So this just took, maybe 50% of the compression out of that. So much more manageable, yeah? You can build that up as much as you need to. If you have the bolstering, you could sit on the bolster. So you're sitting, and this again, for me, this is almost nothing. It may be something for you. And then the same thing, you can come forward whenever you need to, just come forward and release the compression. Make sure it's safe, and then ease back in. So we always do this incrementally, physically incrementally, but also when we're working with our comfort zone, we're always moving out of our comfort zone in this approach incrementally. We're not trying to push through or come to any kind of edge. We want to respect these physical boundaries, sometimes psychological boundaries, and then ease out of them as you will. So just set yourself up so your knees feel good and safe. And then what I'm going to suggest, and let me turn around here, is just to simply, if you're good with the knees, well, first of all, let's just slow down a little bit more. Just bring your awareness to what you're feeling. Whatever level, I'm talking to the back of the room there, that might not work for you. So whatever level of intensity you're feeling, just bring your awareness to those sensations. So we're never going to really, when I say the knee, again, the knee is an interface into a reality that we cannot really understand. It's so complex. So we just feel it. We just feel like, ooh, good, not so good, sensation. And then if you're able to, if you're not too far forward to release the pressure, let's just interlock the fingers behind the back. Yeah. And if you can't interlock, you just can maybe hold a wrist or just put the arms behind there if the shoulders are too tight. And then to whatever your capacity is to straighten the elbows, and then just start to bring the arms up. So what we're doing here obviously is opening now the rib cage and the shoulders. And again, this shoulder girdle area, this rotator cuff area, just tremendously complex. So the imagery of shoulder girdle, again, is an interface into a complexity that we do not need to know about it, nor should we. We don't need that complication. We want the sensory feedback from it. And then just let your head do as it will. Let it kind of loll around a little bit and play with it and bring the chin up. This is a nice place to open the jaw. I know sometimes in class people are a bit inhibited to really open the mouth wide. So what works well is to take a deep inhale breath and then open the jaw as wide as you can. You'll feel all the muscles of the face stretch, the jaw opening, so much tension there. And then you can kind of exhale through the throat while the mouth is open. And then when you run out of air, you can do that a few more times. But to stretch the, not only the superficial fascia of the face, but the optic nerve, like I said, the jaw muscle, the palate, the tongue. And see if you can keep the pressure in the arms coming up a bit. And when you're moving your head, whenever you come upon anything that feels a little restricted, just slow down into it. Don't bypass it. This is a time to go deeper into it, question it, make friends with it, thank it for giving you feedback. Let's bring the arms up just a little bit more. Just go right back into that tension. Just feel it, feel it, feel it. And then let's relax the arms forward. So here now, from however you have your knees bent, let's just release them forward. So if you're on the bolstering, obviously come off the bolsters. Just let both knees bend forward. And open them. We're not going to stay here long. I just want to let all of this relax. So open your legs. If you have a yoga mat, about 3 or 4 inches on either side. So I'm on about, from my hips, I'm about, well, you can see me. I'm about that wide. I was going to try to figure out the angle in from 180, but then I realized that would take doing math in my head, and I haven't done that since 1962. So let's come forward, just relax, soften the lower back, just relax into it. And again, no quality of stretching. So if you feel yourself, wow, I want to go a little deeper, I want to stretch, we're not stretching. We're applying this very slow, I was going to say meditative, it is a meditative compression. We want all of these strands and fibers and layers of fascia to feel this. No concern about what it looks like, how deep you think you should be going. Just trust your body to relax into the depth. Okay, so let's come on up from there. That was just a little interlude. And we're going to go back to the knees, maybe. So if you had a good experience and you felt like you have some range of motion there and you'd like to continue on that, we're going to add a back bend to it, either with the pillows and blankets or if you have the bolstering. So I'll show it a couple of ways and then you can pick the way that works best for you. So you can use the if you have a big bolster, you can use it just flat on the floor. If you, well, maybe with a pillow, I have this little fancy bolster here. You could also prop it up, yeah? So propping it up will take compression out of the knees and the hips and the quadriceps and allow you some balance between upper and lower body, yeah? So I'll show it without that, but you could prop it up, you know, sort of like that with pillows, and this way it might allow you to have access to the bent knee backward bend, where here you might not. So if you're able to or willing or curious, we would bend the knees, sit between the heels. So this is what we set the knees up for. And then keep it tucked in. Sometimes when we do these, we start to slide back and the bolster slides back and then there's a gap there. We don't want that gap compression. So my recommendation is to really hold it in, having the knees bent, and then just see if you're able to come over and have this position. This is lovely. Do keep in mind, we could be here for a while. Yeah. So if you want to experiment propping that up, prop it up. If indeed this is not good for your knees, this is a no-go, then do the same backward bend without bending the knees. So you've already bent the knees. Now we're doing the backward bend separate from that, but you're still getting the benefit. So same thing, we would just come over this, and this would be vertically meaning from lumbar area to base of the skull. Horizontal with the bolster would be hip to hip. This is vertical, right line over it, legs relaxed out, not bent. So I was experimenting with this because I know everyone doesn't have the bolsters, although you soon will, I trust. You can do this with the pillows, yes? Where's that? So if you do this with the pillows, you may have to indeed obviously adjust the pillows to whatever height works well. But in terms of the backward bend, honestly, I can't tell the difference. I really like this with the pillows. But what I need to do is, if I'm not going to let my head dangle in the air, unless your neck is that flexible, I have to take a blanket or a towel or another pillow and support my head. Yes, so like this. And then the same thing. This could be done without bending the knees back, just a couple of pillows. So the idea is to get a very broad backward bend from lower spine all the way up to the upper thoracic, maybe a little bit of the lower cervical. So that's what it would look like with the pillows, and obviously adjust them to your capacity. And very often, if your mind begins this, quite common mantra of, I wonder how long he's going to hold this. there's a chance you're in a little bit too deep or inappropriately. So if you find your mind going to these, I wish it was over, how long has it been, things like that, this is the beginning of struggling. This is the beginning of distraction. So always feel free to readjust. As much equilibrium as you can have between the compression and the discomfort, the presence of sensation, and relaxing and slowing the breath and sinking in. And that changes day to day, and that's unique to you. Coming into a state of relaxation when we can really begin to experience that the tension is actually energy. This energy may have, places of density, and it may have places of spaciousness. The neural pathways of your brain that are creating this imagery, this is energy. The endocrine system that is maintaining your metabolic balance, this is energy. So we're cultivating a very real receptivity to just float in this river of energy, this river of life force, this river of consciousness, and give ourselves a well-deserved rest from having to label and name and compulsively fix everything, and just trust that this energy is not only intelligent enough to create us, it's intelligent enough to sustain and maintain us. So we're listening to our own individual rhythm, our own individual pulsation. And even these thoughts that just arise from who knows where, they just arise and they get your attention for a few moments or longer, but eventually they fade, they dissipate to who knows where. This also is simply energy. This is it's so interesting because at some level it's physical, it's just a biochemical neural transmitter firing. And we have this image that we call a thought. So even the imagery of mind, the imagery of thought, that's the the energy. That's the life force. This is what we're interested in exploring. This is our deepest contemplation, and we're aware of this. We're conscious of this, and this is where we begin. This is where we open the door. I am aware. I am conscious, and then it just opens. It opens out from there. It opens the movie begins. Good. So we're going to have a little bit of movement now. Whatever position you've chosen, especially if you have your knees bent back, address that first. Best not to try to come up and forward. This can be a bit unsafe for the lower back. So just a little kind of leaning, maybe try to release one knee, try to release the other, but just kind of work yourself out of it and go very slowly. Be patient. No need to rush. We're interested in the energy of the unwinding release as much as we were in the compression of the tension. So just kind of work it out and find your way to a comfortable place, and we'll take another rest. And if you are stuck in the pose, so when I'm there, I can help you out. I was thinking, wow, if somebody's stuck in the pose and they're just call 911. No, I'm just kidding. Don't call 911. Just uh, you'll get out in time. Just take your time. Especially if you have some snacks nearby, you'll be fine for a couple of days in the pose, and then you'll find your way out. Another way to express this idea that it can block our development or healing. It doesn't really matter what we call it, but this can be a form of inhibition when we have this need to fix everything. Another way to really sort of lean into that is, in order to do that, to fix everything, we have a tendency then to collect more and more and more information and knowledge to apply to it. And typically, this is from external sources. And sometimes this is very appropriate and wonderful to have, but what it can also tend to do is it can take us further away from our capacity to be comfortable with the unknown, to be comfortable with not knowing. And what yoga is expressing is that we want to be able to sit in great balance. This is what I was saying earlier about being able to just reconnect with your sense of essence, the power and the intelligence of your essence, because part of that is your capacity to not know, but to recognize not that as lack, but that is a sense of wisdom, and how to have great access to that. So it's a very intuitive journey that we set ourselves upon. So let us come on up, please. And I'd just like to show, two versions of this. Two versions of the same posture, the shoelace posture. So we can do one version by keeping the left leg out and taking the right leg and putting it up and over, so the knees come into sort of a general alignment, and I'm just gently bringing that right foot back towards my left hip. Yeah, but don't force it. The alignment is not that important. So what's nice about this position is that we have an option, and I'll give you the option. We can start just coming straight forward. Yeah, so this is very nice. And then if the leg inhibits going deeper and you'd like to go deeper, so here straight forward, pretty even in my lumbar spine, with the left leg out, we have the option of going into this lovely twist here. It's a nice way to do a yin sitting twist and just relax into it. You can kind of come in and out of it. Even if this leg isn't inhibiting and you're coming forward and you want to explore this twisting, very nice to do. Yep, just to kind of hover to the left side. Yeah, so left leg extended, left side. You could bring some nice bolsters over here or pillows and soften onto this and hover here. Yeah, so this would be your choice number one. Forward here, if you'd like to go into the twist. Try not to come up out of the twist, not so good. If you're gonna come into the twist to the left here, come back to a straight spine and then pull yourself up. Yeah, the other option would be from here, so you're already halfway there, is to then take the right leg, the left leg. The right leg is now up and over the left leg, and then bend that back as well, again, towards the right hips, but try not to see I'm about to sit on my heel. Don't allow that to happen. Yeah. And then if you'd like to just bring the knees a little closer together and then sit evenly this way. So this doesn't usually entail, because of the tightening of the hip flexors, a twist. So this would be just straightforward. But again, depending on how the hips are, you can use some whatever bolstering you need. So you can come in and out of it, withdraw when you need to. This particular position, depending on your hips, can allow your hips just to sing. Whether that song is Highway to Hell or Stairway to Heaven, that's up to your hips. But this is a lovely, lovely rotation for the hips. So just kind of sink into it. And I'm sure there's a variation of musical metaphors in between those two extremes, but that would be up to you. That would be between you and your hips. Slowing the breath as naturally as you can, discerning the relationship between feeling the discomfort and stepping back a bit and noticing what it evokes, and allowing that arising and subsiding of thought to be a background imagery. No need to get involved or get entangled with each thought that arises. It's free to do as it pleases, but you don't have to project any interest or any energy to it. It's lovely just to notice this. So we're really relaxing all of these energies that tend to collect and distract, and just settle in, just relax into whatever it is the experience is. Another way to approach this, because we certainly don't want to get entangled with you know just the complexity of all of this imagery, is just whatever is being evoked, allow it uh, to soften back into a place of spaciousness. So this is why we don't want to struggle. We don't want to feel distracted by the sensations. What we're really attempting is to cultivate a certain spaciousness of body, mind, and heart. And then whatever is evoked, we let it just absorb into that spaciousness. So that's a lovely image to use. The body, the mind, the heart as spacious. And then the posture, the breathing, the thinking, the feeling will evoke things for us. Lovely. That's what a human organism does. Let whatever that is just absorb back in, just to saturate back in to a sense of inner spaciousness. So if you are in the first variation where the left leg is out and you're off to the left in the twist, we're going to come out now. So just bring your spine back to straight, so you don't come out with a twisted spine. And then let's everybody come on up from here. And if you've got both legs twisted back, let's just relax both legs out and just have a little wiggle or wobble. And again, any verbal expression is okay, because I or the other students cannot hear it. So, and then we're going to go directly into the other side. So we will keep the right leg extended, and the same variations apply. We're going to take then the left leg and bring it up and over, and a gentle tugging of that left foot towards the right hip, foot's on the floor. And you have the option to just come forward. This time with the right leg out, we would go to the right if you're going to indulge that twist. And again, I'm putting a lot of bolsters on the right side to support that twist. And or you can bend that right foot up and under. Don't sit on the right heel. Yep, just get nice and settled. You can bring the knees closer together if you prefer, and then just let the forward bend. Just be nice and gentle. Again, try not to come up and over that left knee, but just sink down and into it. Just feel as if it's a melting into these tight wires and layers and fabric of fascia. It's pressure, some of this discomfort is just the pressure of the tightening of these fibers of the fascial material, because it's very structural. So it's pulling and pushing and tugging and compressing, and that just doesn't feel good sometimes. Sometimes it's dehydration. Usually it's a combination of both. So we're literally moving into this barrier of tightness and pressure, and softening it a bit and rehydrating it a bit. So be very, very patient. Be patient with the whole process. Be patient, and also be very grateful that you can have the luxury and the great privilege to come into a yoga asana and explore. To be able to hold space for yourself in this way, it's such a beautiful way to journey and to explore. And just also to mention, that most of our biochemical problems, the issues that we have in terms of our health, have roots in the fascial restrictions at the cellular level. So we're not just talking about knees and shoulders and hips. We're talking about this pressure at the cellular level that inhibits the health and the communication and the connectivity of the system itself, right down to the cells. So allow that depth, allow yourself to go deep into your cellular life. Whatever it is, feel it deeply down to the cellular level. This is where everything is really happening. It's funny, as I'm sitting here, my mind wandered a bit, and I have the computer stacked on 8 books to get the right angle. The top 3 are all books about fascia. So I'll try to channel some of the technical information of the fascia from those books back into you. Again, if you're off to the right, let's bring the spine straight. And once you have the spine straight, let's come on up. And let's open that leg out, or open both legs out if you have both legs out. Yeah, and just take a little movement here. So just let this hips loosen. I want to directly go back into the hips, and I'll show you how. So we won't lie down here. This again has the potential, this next thing, to make your hips sing. I don't know what that would be, but so what we're going to do, 2 things actually. So if you can see me, that would be good, but I'll also describe it. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're first going to have either your large bolster or, again, an appropriate stack of pillows or blankets. Doesn't need to be. So let's see, I have these pillows that seem a little higher than this bolster, but the bolster is very firm. Once I'm on the pillows, they're going to approximate the height. So if you have the pillows, go a little bit higher and then see how your pelvis reacts. Yeah, but I'm going to show it on the big bolster. And then very simply, we're going to take the bolster or the pillows and just bring the pelvis up on it. Yeah, so not the lower back. We've already been in the lower back, but just the back of the pelvis. And then we're going to lie over it, but I'm going to change my angle now to show you what I want to do. So once you have the pelvis over it like this, yeah, so you'll be lying and the legs will be out. We'll stay here for a while. I'm going to sit up just to make sure that you can hear me. So we'll stay here for a bit to let the pelvis really make sure it's safe here. And then we'll keep the left leg extended out, and we're going to bring the right leg up and in and place it either that right foot under the knee or under the thigh. You'll feel it because the weight of that right leg is going to pull you into this right hip flexor. But don't do that right away, please. Let the legs relax out. And then I'll describe it again. To keep the left leg extended, to take the right leg and then bring it either under the knee, under the thigh. You'll feel it just open, and that weight will pull into this right hip flexor. So both legs are out right now. And just to, really allow yourself, again, the receptivity of this compression is really what we're exploring. And then how the muscles, the bones, the fascial barrier resist this compression, and this becomes the dance, if you will. This becomes the exploration of how much compression, how much release, what does it feel like. So allow yourself just to settle into this interesting area for a few moments before we bring the hips into it. Good. So if you'd like to move into that hip a bit, again, let's keep the left leg extended out and just take that right foot and bring it up and in. And anywhere under that right leg, the knee's good, the thigh's good, let it fall off to the right and relax. Again, if this is a way uh, too much for that right hip, I understand. And just put a little something, a blanket or a bolster under it. But just to pull, it's just you'll feel the pulling and the tugging. And to say, the technical information about the structure of the body at this level is really not necessary. It's just more interesting than anything. A nice imagery to hold about how and what this fascia is to think how it would feel if you were wearing clothes that were like 5 or 6 times too small, and the constriction and the stiffness that would evoke. This is what the fascia is doing. It's tightening the body internally. So what we're attempting to do, because we understand that it is very resilient and very fluid based and very intelligent and responds to stress and compression, we're trying to bring the body back to a normally comfortable fitting size of clothes. But this happens incrementally. So I cannot emphasize being patient with this practice, being patient with your body, being patient the way you ease in and lean in and feel and try to cultivate as much non-judgmental awareness and just feel and trust that the intelligence of the body is revealing something through the discomfort. So you can then relax that right leg out and just take a few moments here to feel that sense of release. Anything again in the sacral area, the pelvic area, the hips. And then we'll let that right leg stay extended. And the same thing on this side. Again, be aware if you need to you support that left leg in any way. And don't. This is where the patience comes in, because the nature of the way the body is, it may be in a healing process. It may have some injury, some inflammation. So we want to be smart about how we compress and how we hold, and not struggle or have agenda for the body. That ultimately we're not trying to fix something or we don't know better. We're trying to sit with our own body, mind, heart with just great tenderness and loving kindness. This is what Sarah says that we're doing. She says what we're doing in this practice is that we're carving out neural pathways of loving kindness. It's so beautiful to think of the body that way. Good. So let's extend that leg out, relax them. And the best way to really kind of add to this so we can come out of it, but also come into, yeah, I think that's good, come into a forward bend is from here. Now, if you still have your pelvis, even if you don't, you can do this, the pelvis on the bolster, just bring the knees up and just tug them in a little bit, sway the hips a little bit. So again, just a little bit of this sort of unwinding feeling or recalibrating. It's all happening, just happening at its own pace. And then if you're able, if you have the capacity, just bring them up. This is even lovely. It starts to work into the endocrine system from the digestive area up into the skull. But if you have the capacity to keep bringing the legs up and over all the way to what I'm going to do is bring them so the knees come on either side of the head. This is very, very powerful for the endocrine system, for your metabolism, for your thyroid. This is something that I recommend to do every day. So just do that, just to the best of your capacity. Bring the knees up and over and feel that frontal space, as compressed as can be. Keep the breath moving, but it can just be very, very small bits of air, just as long as you're breathing. Good. And from here, you can just push that bolster forward a bit. If you want to come fully out of it, do so carefully, and then we'll roll off of the bolster. And just find your way into whatever is most comfortable and restful. And as you allow yourself to relax, let's just come back full circle to just simply slowing the breath down. And this may seem very simplistic, but it's very profound and it's very powerful. It's very healing for your entire system and all your processes. So just long, slow, deep breaths. So I thought I would invite you to just stay in this Shavasana if you would like to, since you're home, and if you're feeling that call just to relax and go into a deeper state, please feel free to do that. Um, and you can just close from there. If you would like to sit up with me and close with the bell, I'm going to close with a quote from the Ashtavakra Gita. All things arise, suffer change, and pass away. This is their nature. When you know this, you become still. It is easy. Namaste.